So for your scapula, we're gonna have you start with your arms by your side because that is probably gonna be what resonates the best with a client. Yeah. So what I tend to do is have you grab your pants so that you can anchor your arm down. Because when we're taking your scapula, say through elevation, retraction, depression, and protraction, I don't want your arm to like sway forward too far, and I don't want your arm to sway back too much. So I'm trying to anchor it down and make it so that there's no rotation at my humerus, my upper arm, and all of it's coming from the scapula itself. It's very easy to do this, and you see what my arms end up doing. My arms internally rotate, and then my arms externally rotate, and I'm trying to isolate that as best we can. Okay, so let's have you grab your pants.
One side at a time?
Let's do both at the same time, and then we can go to one side at a time, right? So maintain somewhat of a relative neutral posture. Keep the elbows locked. I want you to find elevation. Yep, right there. Go to slow depression. Now think, can you get any deeper into my fingers here? Push them downward. You feel depression there. And now glide them open. And as you protract, I want you to feel your pec shortening.
Yeah,
good.
I feel my pecs.
Good, so yeah, you're shortening your pecs, right? And you feel your scapula lengthening. And then shrug them up again. As high as you can. You got a little bit more there. You see how you actually have more there. Now retract. Right there, you have any more retraction? Nope. Now depress. Keep going, keep going. Do you have more depression there?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, now open, protract. A little bit more, and then shrug it up. All the way up to your ears, and then retract. Don't let this move at all. More retraction. Now stay retracted and try to depress while retracted. Good, now reverse. Go back to full retraction. So back now, a little bit more, a little bit more. Good, now elevate them up. Watch what your neck is doing. Try to pull your head back a little bit more. Not up, but back.
My neck?
Yeah, there, good. Now open from here. So elevate up, and now open. So we're going reverse. Protract, protract, protract. You feel your pec shortening again.
Yeah.
And now depress them, and then retract and depress. So pull them back again. Good, push into my fingers. You got a little bit more there, a little bit more there, and now retract, bring them up. Nope, a little bit further back, retract, there, that. You see how you have a little bit more there?
Yeah.
Now shrug them up. Good. You see how you wanted to come out of retraction there as you came up? Now open up again. One more time, open more, open, protract, protract, protract. You got a little bit more, you got a little bit more there. Now come down, depress, and then retract. So generally speaking, your arms being here is gonna help resonate with a client better, but that doesn't have the best carryover to like when we're doing external training, right? Like what exercise do you do here? There aren't that many, right? But if we're gonna be doing like pushing or pulling, right, rows or chest presses of any kind, we need to be able to have your scapula move in this plane of motion. So what we're gonna do next is have you go on all fours and do the exact same thing, but making sure that our elbows are locked. We're gonna find full retraction, elevation, protraction. It's the same sequence, but the arms are gonna be locked out in a different position. Real quick though, it's very easy to not be able to separate the spine from the scap. So like when you go into full protraction, I don't want you flexing your spine. Okay. Does that make sense? You see how it's two different things?
If you want to keep this down
and the upper back too, like this is full protraction, this is spine flexion. Okay. And it's very easy to mix the two together. And the point of the scapula training is creating independence between the joints. And so if you flex your spine every time you protract your scap, or if you retract your scap and extend your spine at the same time, then we didn't really do anything to address the independent movement of the joints, right? You're just kind of reinforcing that compensation. So more isn't better. Let's say if a client can't find their scapula, I would let them cheat a little bit. Let them move their spine and kind of just get familiar with it, especially like the older folks who have a hard time with that area, right? Because they're kind of hunched over. But for someone in our position who's a trained individual, they have body awareness, let's start with trying to really separate those two. And if you get pinching in your wrists, we can rotate your hand out, or we can keep your fist like that. All right, so remember, elbows need to stay locked, because if the scapula can't move, it's gonna go to the next closest joint, and the neck should stay relatively straight. I don't wanna see you hinging your neck anyway. Okay, go ahead and retract your scap now. Think your chest is sinking to the floor. Yep, keep going, keep going. You got a little bit more. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing, keep squeezing. Right there. Take a big deep breath there and try to get comfortable in full retraction. And now try to depress them and push your shoulder blades into your back pocket, into my fingers here. Can you pull them down anymore? That right there. Is that all the depression we have?
Yeah.
Okay, how about you try shrugging them up to your ears while they're retracted? Yep, shrug them up to your ears, a little bit more. A little bit more. Beautiful. Now pull them back down again. I'm just trying to get you antiquated with retraction. So you're staying retracted, you're depressing now, right? You kind of feel them pulling into your back pocket there, and then pull them up to your ears again, but stay retracted. Chest to the floor more. You have more there. You see how you actually have more than you realize, right? Yeah. You want to come out of retraction, know what your tendency is, right? Your tendency is to do that. Shrug them up to your ears now. A little bit more. Good. And then retract them again, pull or depress them again rather. Pull them into your back pocket. A little bit more. That's pretty hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go ahead and try to retract them further. Squeeze your shoulder blades together more. Yeah, and then pull them down. Right there, okay? Now go ahead and go up into elevation again one last time. Shrug them up to your ears. Say it again? Stay retracting, go into elevation, exactly, keep going. So now we're gonna go into protraction. Try opening up your shoulder blades, but be sure not to flex your spine. All you're doing is protracting your scap around your rib cage. Do you feel your pec shortening?
Yeah.
You should feel your chest starting to squeeze. If you feel your chest squeezing, then we're in scap protraction.
Yeah,
can you get a little bit further there and you feel, yes, you feel the shoulder blades running away from my hands here. Stay in protraction now and try to depress them, pull them down while they're open. So think about pulling your shoulder blade into your back pocket. You had it? You see how your hips are starting to move back? Okay, that's okay. Try to depress them more. That's hard for us, right?
It's really hard.
So just so I'm clear, you have a hard time going from here to there.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're opened and you can do this, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so that's where you have a hard time with protraction and depression. Does that make sense? And so if we have our arms by our sides, that would be a little bit easier for it to click for you. Let's go ahead and get you on all fours again and try that one more time. And just see if we can develop a little bit more awareness there. How about we go back to retraction now? So sink your chest to the floor. You feel that right there.
Yeah.
And that clicked a lot easier than it did the first time too. Go ahead and depress them now. Pull them into your back pocket. You see how much your hips want to move back? That's okay, that's okay. Go slow with it, take your time. Depress, yeah, right there, a little bit more.
Moving the wrong, I was trying to shift the wrong, body part.
Yeah, you're trying to initiate from the shoulder rather than actually the bone in your upper back, okay? Can you depress them any further? Okay, now stay depressed. Try to pull them open here without shrugging them up to your ears. Yeah. Keep going. That feels a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Keep going, pull away from my hand. Keep pulling away from my fingers. Trying to pry this open a little bit more. And now pull them back into your back pocket again. Depress and retract. Yeah, there you go. And then chest to the floor. Chest to the floor, we're trying to close this together. Imagine that there's a pen right here and you're trying to close them between your shoulder blades and then open them up again. So you see we have you in depression and you're protracting, retracting while in depression. We're trying to pretty much expose your weak spot. Okay, keep opening and then pull them into your back pocket again. You got more there? Squeeze them together now. There you go, right there. That's a better one, right? Yeah. You found it more. And I can see it too, right? You feel it and I see it. Your internal feedback that you feel it better and my external feedback that we see it better, that lines up, right? And so we're on the same page. And doesn't it make sense though that your shoulder that has had a hard time with pushing movements and you need internal rotation, yes, but you might actually need more scapula depression with that internal rotation. And you were super good. Like when I had you here doing it, there were no restrictions, it clicked, it resonated. But as soon as I put you in this position, we kind of lost it. And that would make sense that would have carryover to more of our external training. So this position's probably more applicable for most people. But if this helps you bring some awareness to it to train it, then use that tool to make this tool better too. We're gonna do hanging scapula cars next. The idea that people need their scapula to move to do pull downs, pull ups, and overhead pressing, right? A lot of times when somebody has issues overhead pressing, it's because their scapula can't move when their shoulder's in flexion. So we're gonna train your scapula in shoulder flexion. So we're gonna have you here. I want you to think about where you would have a pull-up position or where you would finish in a shoulder press.
Okay.
Something like that, okay? So relatively shoulder width apart. I want you to see how I'm gonna be here, my elbows are straight, I'm retracting my scapula, protracting the scapula, retracting the scapula, protracting, and then we could also go through the full scapula car. to use all those ranges of motion available to it. This is obviously gonna be harder for a client because they're gonna have a hard time holding their body weight up. You can do it where somebody has a pole and they're working their scapula without having to hold their body weight up, so they can coordinate the movement better. They could also do it on like a assisted pull-up machine, right, and take their body weight off of it. They could also do it by hanging on a lat pull down, right? Like who's to say you can't grab a lat pull down bar and retract and elevate and depress and do all 4 of the movements outside of here, but just using a pull down setup to do that. All right, let's get you up on here. So I would probably use your thumbs too and wrap the thumb around it. If your grip starts to give out, that's fine. You can use this to train your grip too. Try to maintain spine extension, chest up. Are you able to retract and pull them down right there? You feel that depression there? Yeah. And now open them up and let this glide open. So you feel protraction there. Yeah. And then retract and pull them down. So the elbows are straight. The spine is relatively fixed, right? We're not going through flexion or extension of the spine as we move this. And then you're pulling it open again. So all you're trying to do is dislocate your scapula from your shoulder and your spine, joint independence. And if there's some like convoluted compensation in your movement pattern in this position, no wonder we're gonna have issues shoulder pressing, right? And it might be your flexion too, right? If your grip's giving out so much that we can't do it, then how do we take body weight out of the equation? We can use the assisted pull-up machine, or we're gonna go do a lat pull down. Okay. The nice thing about the lat pull down is you could do it with different grips and change the orientation of your arms. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so how much do you weigh right now? 190 or something?
Yeah, like 185.
So you weigh 185. We definitely don't want 185 on here, but I want enough for you to actually feel your scap. Going too light isn't gonna give you anything, right? There's not gonna be any resistance to fight against. Let's go and have you sit and have your hands like somewhat there. Right. Again, think about like where you would finish on a pull-up or where would you finish on an overhead press. Okay. So lean back, a little bit of spine extension. Think about just pulling your shoulder blades down into your back pocket.
Oh, okay, so I see.
Yeah, so right there, yeah. So you have depression, retraction, now pull them up. Yeah, so let's just go back and forth. Think about pulling them up to the roof and then pulling them down into your back pocket. Right there.
So you're just saying that, like, over there, I was definitely like trying to just squeeze my shoulder blades together and just open them up.
So does this help you think about up and down way more? So if it's because the cable's right above you and it's a different like setup and the setup just kind of resonates with you better. So if this helps, then go ahead and do that. So pull them down, pull them down, pull them down, and then let them travel upward, and now they're elevating. And now think about doing like a global scap car, right? So you retract now, and then pull them down from here. Yes, and then pull them open from here. And then elevate them up, keep going, keep going, keep going, and then pull them back. And then pull them down, and then open them up. And now reverse. Back and down. Yep, shrug them up, shrug them up, shrug them up. Pull them open. Keep going, yep. Pull them down, retract, elevate them up. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's worth acknowledging though that when you're in this position, you're internally rotated too, right? We could also do the same thing and have you externally rotated. Okay. So it doesn't mean it's better or worse, it's just different. And that's no different than us having, like, you could do Scapula CARS here, but you can also do them here with your shoulders externally rotated as well. Yeah. When we had you on all fours, we could do your Scapula CAR here, right? We could actually have you fully internally rotated or fully externally rotated as well, right? Yeah. So it kind of depends, like if someone struggles with internal rotation of their shoulder, they probably struggle to move their scapula while they're internally rotated too. Yeah. You struggle with that more than external rotation. So this probably makes more sense for you because of where your shoulder has an issue, right? If that was too easy, I would definitely work our way up so that we can actually load it. And so you have more resistance to fight against, so that would carry over to like your overhead pressing a little bit better. Okay. Does that make sense? And we could do the scap car too on like a cable row.
I've seen you do that before.
You know what I mean? Like you can do that on a cable row too. And like you could literally have a cable like this, and I can step back and I can allow my scapula to move against load. And if something like that helps, I could even work out here and do my scapula this way. I could be internally rotated doing it, or I could be externally rotated doing it. So like there's so much variability with it, but just understanding that most people who are general population just need more scap, is that at the end of the day, that's what's gonna help them. But then when you get to someone who's a higher trained individual, you, me, our coworkers, a client that's higher trained, they might need more specificity, and just a blanket scapula car of some kind might not be enough for them. All right, I think that's it. You have any questions on that?
No, I mean, all that makes sense.